Have you ever felt like, no matter how hard you try, certain things just don't flow in your life? Like something invisible is blocking your way? Maybe deep down, you feel like you're attracting more problems than solutions? As if there's some negative force weaving through your relationships and experiences? I know exactly how that feels. That sensation of being out of alignment can be devastating. It drains your enthusiasm and undermines your ability to achieve what you want most. When our inner magnetism is weak, good opportunities slip right through our fingers, and the right people don't stay in our lives. I've been there myself, and I'll tell you, the solution exists, but it's not out there. It's in a place many forget to look. At the center of your own soul. When I first became aware of this inner block, I was desperate to understand why things weren't working out for me. I looked for answers in books, in conversations, and even in places I hoped would bring me some peace. But I quickly realized something. No amount of external effort could fix the disconnect I felt inside. You know that sensation trying to push forward but feeling like your own energy is betraying you? It's like being stuck in quicksand, where every movement pulls you deeper. My relationships suffered, my work felt empty, and my motivation vanished. I was chasing everything on the outside when the true source of the problem and its solution lay buried within. The deeper I fell into this rut, the clearer it became. I was lacking something fundamental. But what was it? It wasn't knowledge or skills. It wasn't a lack of effort. It was a lack of alignment. My own energy wasn't attracting what I wanted, because I wasn't radiating the right kind of power. This is where magnetism comes in. And I don't mean physical magnetism or charm. I'm talking about spiritual magnetism, the type of energy that silently attracts the right circumstances and people into your life. I realized I had to strengthen that force within me to transform my reality. One day, I stumbled upon the teachings of Paramahansa Yogananda. I'd heard about him, but never truly delved into his wisdom until I was at my breaking point. It was in his teachings that I found the answer I'd been seeking for so long, the key to unlocking and amplifying my inner magnetism. Yogananda spoke of Kriya Yoga and prayer as a way to cleanse and purify our spiritual energy, allowing us to become magnets for positive experiences. It wasn't a promise of instant success or a get-happy-quick scheme. It was a disciplined practice that, if I committed to, could realign every aspect of my being. So, I made a decision. I would devote myself to these teachings and practices. It wasn't easy, but slowly I began to feel a shift. My thoughts became clearer. The fog of negativity and doubt that clouded my mind started to lift. People began to respond differently to me, and opportunities that once seemed distant began to come into my orbit. The teachings were working, but it wasn't just about doing the practices. It was about understanding the why behind them, the deeper philosophy of magnetism, and how our inner state creates our outer world. That's when I understood that this is not just about getting things or people. It's about aligning your energy with a higher frequency. It's about radiating a magnetic power so strong and pure that whatever you need finds its way to you effortlessly. That's what Yogananda's teachings showed me. A roadmap to building an unshakable magnetism that draws abundance, peace, and true happiness into your life. Once I understood that inner magnetism was the key, I had to learn how to develop it. And that's where Kriya Yoga came in. Yogananda described Kriya Yoga as a scientific technique that purifies and refines our inner energy channels, allowing us to access higher states of consciousness and, in turn, amplify our magnetic field. I know it might sound complex, but it's simpler than it seems. It starts with controlling the breath and directing the life force inward, away from the chaos of the outside world and toward a place of stillness within. When I first began practicing, I struggled. My mind was restless and my body resisted, but I stayed with it, and gradually I felt a subtle yet profound shift. The more I practiced, the more I realized that Kriya Yoga wasn't just a physical exercise. It was a tool for reprogramming my entire being. Every breath I took in meditation seemed to cleanse layers of doubt and negativity that had accumulated over years. I felt lighter, more centered, and with that inner lightness, I noticed a shift in how people responded to me. Conversations flowed more naturally. My presence seemed to have an unspoken power, and I could sense the invisible connections between myself and others deepening. This was the beginning of my transformation. As I continued with Kriya Yoga, I began incorporating another of Yogananda's key teachings, the power of prayer. Not the type of prayer that begs for things or pleads for relief, but the type that acknowledges the divine presence within and around us. I began to pray from a place of gratitude, not lack. I started each day by offering my thoughts, actions, and energy to a higher power. And it was through these heartfelt prayers that I felt my magnetism strengthening even further. I became more attuned to the subtle shifts in my surroundings and could feel my inner energy aligning with the people and situations I encountered. It was fascinating to watch how this shift changed my relationships. People I once struggled to connect with began opening up to me. I noticed less resistance and more synchronicity. It wasn't just about saying or doing the right things anymore. It was about how I was showing up energetically. I started attracting the right conversations, the right opportunities, and even people who were on a similar spiritual journey. This alignment didn't just happen randomly. It was a direct result of cultivating my inner magnetism through Kriya Yoga and prayer. But perhaps the most surprising change was how I started viewing myself. I no longer felt like I had to chase after anything or anyone. Instead, I became a magnet for what was meant for me. The desperation, the neediness, the frustration, all of it began to dissolve. I became more grounded, more content, and more at peace with where I was, even as I continued striving for growth. This inner transformation was powerful because it changed how I interacted with the world, making me realize that our outer reality is merely a reflection of our inner state. The next revelation came when I discovered the true power of thoughts and affirmations. Yogananda often spoke of the immense influence our thoughts have on our spiritual magnetism. Every thought, every intention carries a vibration. If those vibrations are weak, filled with self-doubts or fear, they repel the very things we desire. But when our thoughts are strong, positive, and focused, they create a magnetic force that draws in exactly what we need. I realized that I had been unknowingly sabotaging myself with thoughts of unworthiness, of not being good enough. These thoughts were leaking energy, weakening my inner magnetism. So, I began to consciously shift my thinking patterns. I started using affirmations, not as hollow phrases, but as seeds of intention that I planted deep within my mind. Yogananda suggested affirmations that resonate with the highest truths about ourselves, like I am surrounded by divine love and light, or I am a magnet for peace and prosperity. At first, it felt strange. My mind resisted, almost mocking these new thoughts, but I persisted. I spoke them with conviction, even when I didn't fully believe in them yet. Day by day, I noticed my mental chatter becoming quieter, the negative self-talk diminishing. As I continued, something remarkable happened. I began to feel the affirmations I was repeating. They weren't just words anymore. They were becoming my reality. I could sense my inner state changing, becoming more aligned with the energy I wanted to attract. It wasn't about convincing myself of something untrue. It was about removing the veil that had been blocking me from seeing my true potential. This shift in mindset had a ripple effect. Situations that once seemed impossible began to unfold with surprising ease. Doors that were previously closed began to open, and I could feel the energy around me becoming lighter, more supportive. The most important part of this practice, however, was consistency. I realized that every time I allowed myself to slip back into old thought patterns, I was weakening my magnetism again. So, I made a commitment. I would guard my thoughts fiercely, only allowing those that supported my highest vision for myself. It was a daily practice, catching those sneaky doubts and replacing them with empowering affirmations. And it was this discipline that solidified the transformation I was experiencing. This is how I learned that building a strong inner magnetism isn't just about external techniques or rituals. It's about mastery over our own minds. Because once our thoughts are in harmony with what we truly desire, we create an unbreakable magnetic field. It's a power that can't be seen, but it's felt by everyone and everything we come in contact with. When your mind and energy align, you naturally begin to attract people, circumstances, and experiences that resonate with your highest purpose. As I deepened my understanding of this inner magnetism, I began to see how it affected every interaction and relationship in my life. When your energy is weak or scattered, people sense it, even if it's on a subconscious level. They might not know why, but something about you won't feel quite right. This is why relationships can feel strained, why connections don't seem to last, and why people might pull away when you most need support. I used to experience this constantly. I'd try to say the right things, be the perfect version of myself, yet something felt off. It wasn't about what I was saying or doing, it was about the energy I was putting out. The moment I started to strengthen my inner magnetism through meditation, affirmations, and energy alignment, I noticed a profound shift. Suddenly, people who had been distant became warmer, more engaged. Conversations that once felt forced became effortless. And it wasn't that I had changed my approach or tried harder. I was simply showing up with a different energy. This new energy didn't have to prove anything. It didn't seek approval or validation. It was a quiet, confident magnetism that naturally drew people in. I started to experience deeper connections and a sense of ease in my interactions that I'd never felt before. It became clear to me that relationships are like mirrors. They reflect the energy we project. When we radiate insecurity, we attract situations that amplify it. But when we radiate a calm, powerful presence, we attract people who match that frequency. I began to see this in my professional life as well. Opportunities that had previously eluded me started to show up. People I admired began reaching out, wanting to collaborate. It felt like a series of coincidences at first, but I knew it was the result of a newfound alignment. This wasn't luck. It was the power of magnetism at work. What struck me most was the subtlety of this transformation. It's not about being loud or overly assertive. It's about having an inner radiance that others can sense even before you speak. It's about walking into a room and being noticed, not because of what you're wearing or how you look, but because of the energy you exude. This is true magnetism. The kind that creates unspoken bonds, that draws people into your orbit without effort. It's a force that comes from within and emanates outward, affecting everyone you encounter. By aligning my inner state, I saw how I could influence my outer world. I stopped chasing relationships, stopped trying to make things happen. Instead, I focused on cultivating my inner energy, trusting that it would bring to me what was meant to be. And it did. This new way of being allowed me to attract connections and experiences that felt authentic, enriching, and deeply satisfying. It was a reminder that when we shift our inner world, the outer world follows suit, effortlessly and inevitably. One of the most transformative aspects of Yogananda's teachings was the realization that true magnetism isn't about getting more of what we want. It's about becoming more of who we truly are. When I first heard this, it felt like a revelation. I had been so focused on what I was trying to attract that I hadn't considered who I was becoming in the process. It's easy to fall into the trap of wanting more success, more love, more recognition. But Yogananda taught that magnetism is about inner fulfillment, not external accumulation. The more I aligned with this truth, the more I understood that real magnetism begins with self-acceptance and authenticity. When you accept yourself fully, without conditions, you unlock a power that can't be found in any other way. You start to radiate a quiet confidence, an inner peace that draws the right experiences to you like a magnet. But it's not just about attracting good things. It's about becoming a beacon of light in a world filled with confusion and doubt. This shift changes everything. You stop seeking validation outside of yourself and begin to cultivate an inner sense of wholeness. That's when the magic happens. You no longer feel desperate or needy because you realize you already have everything you need within. For me, this process involved deep self-inquiry and embracing my own imperfections. Instead of hiding or suppressing my flaws, I began to see them as part of my unique vibration. I acknowledged my fears and insecurities, but instead of letting them weaken my magnetism, I transformed them into sources of strength. This internal work allowed me to project an energy that was authentic, and people responded to that authenticity. They could feel that I wasn't trying to be something. I wasn't. I was just being myself. And that's what made all the difference. The moment we stop chasing approval, something beautiful happens. We become magnetic. This doesn't mean we won't face challenges or obstacles. But it does mean that we'll approach them with the resilience and clarity that attracts solutions, support, and inspiration. The more I embraced my true self, the more aligned I became with the people and opportunities that resonated with my energy. It was no longer about forcing things to happen. It was about trusting that my authentic self was enough to draw the right circumstances into my life. Yogananda's teachings showed me that true magnetism comes from within. It's not about manipulating situations or people. It's about cultivating a strong, unwavering sense of self. When you know who you are and stand firmly in that truth, you become a force of nature. The world around you shifts in response to your presence. You no longer seek to possess or control. You simply are, and in that state of being, you attract everything you need to fulfill your purpose. This realization changed my entire approach to life and became the foundation for every relationship, project, and goal I pursued thereafter. With all these teachings integrated into my life, I began to experience a sense of inner peace and strength I never knew was possible. But more importantly, I realized that this journey of cultivating spiritual magnetism doesn't end with us. It's not just about making our own lives better, it's about radiating that energy outwards, touching everyone and everything around us. Yogananda often spoke about the power of serving others selflessly as the highest form of magnetism. He said that when we offer our energy, our thoughts, and our prayers for the good of others, we expand our own magnetic field exponentially. The love and goodwill we send out become like a beacon, drawing even more love and positivity back to us. I started practicing this consciously. Every day, I'd set aside time to send thoughts of healing, compassion, and gratitude to the people in my life, to those I didn't know, and even to the world as a whole. I wasn't doing it to get anything in return. I was doing it because I wanted to contribute to the collective energy of positivity and transformation, and the effects were astonishing. Not only did I feel more connected and uplifted, but I also noticed that my own desires and goals began manifesting with even greater ease. It was as if by expanding my focus outward, I was creating space for more blessings to enter my own life. And remember, everything you need to create this inner magnetism already exists within you. You don't have to look outside for it. Just start where you are. Meditate, pray, affirm your inner power, and watch as your life transforms. You have the power to change your reality. The question is, are you ready to step into that power? If you found this journey helpful, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so we can continue exploring these life-changing insights together. Your transformation is just beginning, and I'm excited to walk this path with you.